Greetings everyone, welcome to video number 38 in the project management series presented by Process Geekoid. Today's agenda will be going over reviewing the PMBOK process table as well as the 35th process, which is the identify risk process. This process occurs at the intersection of the risk knowledge area and the planning process group. As always, please subscribe, like, and comment. So let's move forward. So right after planning for risk, we need to identify the risks and place them in the appropriate categories or buckets, if you will, of the risk breakdown structure. Remember that risk can be categorized as a negative risk or threat or positive risk or opportunity. In general, we want to minimize threats and maximize opportunities. Risks are categorized as part of SWOT analysis in the identify risk process. Note that the identify risk process is the iterative process of determining which risks may affect project and documenting their characteristics as new risks may evolve as project progresses. I just want to recap here what risk management is all about. So project risk management includes the processes of conducting risk management planning, which we've already done. Then now we're in the process of identifying the risk. Then we analyze the risks, response planning for the risks, and controlling the risks on the project. Like we just mentioned, we want to increase the likelihood and impact of opportunities or positive risks and decrease the likelihood and impact of negative risks or threats. Next, the ITTOS, inputs, tools, techniques, and outputs for identify risks, are shown here. The inputs, while they seem daunting as a long list, this is really logical because we need to identify the risks from all knowledge areas, if not most knowledge areas, such as cost, risk, scope, quality, stakeholder, cost, and procurement knowledge areas. This allows us to prepare for risk analysis and response planning down the road. So just to run down, we have the risk management plan, cost management plan, schedule management plan, quality management plan, human resource management plan, scope baseline, activity cost estimates, activity duration estimates, stakeholder register, project documents, procurement documents, EEFs, and OPAs. So by taking into consideration all these inputs, we can now get a holistic picture of all of the types of risks that we can plan for and identify them in this process. Next, for tools, we have documentation reviews. This is the process of gathering a group of information and reviewing it to determine the accuracy and completeness of the information, and to see if there are any risks within the documentation themselves by doing so. Then you have information gathering techniques. This includes brainstorming, which is an unfiltered gathering of ideas. Then you have Delphi technique. So as a project lead, you would want to get information on a specific topic. So you would send a survey or questionnaire to a group of experts in the field anonymously, and experts would then respond with their unbiased professional opinion on how to proceed on the risk planning process, such as identify risk. Then you would have root cause analysis under information gathering. So you want to determine the basic underlying reasons that causes a variance or a risk. So root cause analysis we'll discuss further down the road, focused on fishbone diagrams and cause and effect diagrams. Next tool and technique is checklist analysis. This is where you're going to have risk identification. Checklists based on historical information and knowledge that has been accumulated from previous similar projects and from other sources of information. Note that the lowest level of the risk breakdown structure, which is part of the risk management plan, is the risk checklist. Assumption analysis is the identification of any assumptions that may contribute for risk and see the validity of the assumptions. So in identify risk process, the project is looking for any accuracies, inaccuracies, instabilities, or inconsistencies or incompleteness in the risk assumptions being made. Then you have diagramming techniques such as the Ishikawa diagram or fishbone diagram, also known as a cause and effect diagram. Then you also have flowcharts to look at to see if you can find risks within those. Then you have SWOT analysis, strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threat analysis of risks for categorization and response planning. Then you have expert judgment. This is where you're going to use the risk management team, or BCM, business continuity management team, that can help in identifying the risks. The outputs then are going to be the risk register. The risk register is going to be an unprioritized list of brainstorm risks and responses that don't have any monetary value. It is a list of identified risk and potential responses. So the key benefit of this process is the documentation of existing risks and knowledge and ability it provides to the project team to anticipate events before they occur, allowing thinking about potential responses to the risk. So the key benefit here is going to be looking at preparing responses for the risk. So we can do that by looking at the RBS in this slide. So the risk breakdown structure is going to be looking at the lowest level, the risk checklist from each of these categories, and looking at potential risks within them. So having a checklist, we can check off all the risks that we have planned for and identified for from all these various groups, such as business risk, technical risk, organizational risk, and project management risks. Next slide, we'll go over the fishbone or root cause diagram, Ishikawa. So this is an example of a fishbone diagram or root cause diagram that helps take the effect or experiences, in this case bad coffee, and work backward to identify the primary and secondary causes of why the end customer is tasting the bad coffee. So you can see now that we can identify the causes of the risks and of the effects that we're facing. And the bad coffee is the effect. So the causes, the root causes, are coming from procedures, equipment, material, and people. These are the primary causes. Then below each primary cause, we have secondary causes. So procedure-wise, we have too much coffee, or you have no training in the staff, too much water, too many grounds, or the wrong size filter. That's one example of procedural risk cause. Then you have equipment causes, coming from brew time, the coffee is not heating up enough, or dirty cups. Material is also another cause, and that could be coming from outdated material, bad cream, expired material, bad sugar. And then people, always manpower could also result in it, having no training, the wrong vibe in the company, being rude to the customer. So these can all be causes of the effect being faced by the customer, which is bad coffee. And this slide goes over example of a risk register, which is your primary output of identifying risk. And risk register has a list of identified risks and list of potential responses. This is getting us geared ready towards risk planning and analysis. So here you see we have all the risk IDs, the risk statements, and the probabilities and impacts it has to scope, quality, schedule, and cost, and the responses as well as the responsible party that will be taken into consideration in preparing for risk when it happens. Thank you for watching this video. As always, please subscribe, like, and comment. Thank you for watching.